Aloha, everybody, and welcome to Spirit Chat Radio. Today, we are going to be talking about empath awareness. The reason I want to talk about this more is because I get a flood of questions about empath abilities and how just life affects an empath. A lot of people have this ability, more than I've ever seen before. As you guys know, I have a spirit community called the Higher Purpose Learning Group, so I have lots of questions that come from there that in this particular subject is asked about a lot. I had a really good question the other day that I'm going to answer about the difference between empath and bipolar, and I thought that that was a really good question. I also do, I have an online class, which I'm sure most of you also know about. You can find information on that at psychicabilityclass.com. It's closed currently for enrollment, but it will be open again in December. And in this class, I go over all the clairs. And one of the clairs, clairsentient, is actually an empath. And so I get a lot of questions about this in this class as well. This class has been very popular, by the way. And I only open it a couple of times a year because I do spend a lot of one-on-one time with the students. I mean, and by one-on-one, I mean we have this group where we do some virtual streaming or live streaming video chats where I connect with the students. We go over questions and do all kinds of cool things. It's one of the favorite things about the class, people tell me. But that being said, there's a lot of empaths out there. They're stronger now than they've been in the past because of the whole energetic shift that's happening. But there's a lot of people who don't understand what it is. In fact, I had somebody ask me in the group one time, in my spirit community group, the Higher Purpose Learning one, well, I know that there's all these clairs and I know that I'm an empath, but how does an empath fit in with any psychic senses? And that's when I realized a lot of people, there's just not enough information out there, or not enough good information talking about what an empath is, and giving you tips on empath awareness, that sort of thing. So I'm going to cover some of those questions here today. I'm going to start with some basic stuff though. So if you don't know what an empath is, it's actually a psychic sense and a psychic ability skill. It is called clairsentient. And what that is it's an ability to be able to read or translate energies of all living things. So anything that is alive and essentially giving off a certain energy. Now, keep in mind that objects can contain energy as well, but we're just talking about live energy, people, things, animals, plants, people. They all give off essentially what's called a live energy. So they're constantly circulating an energy. Items, when energy tends to be attached to items, it doesn't circulate or move like a stream. So you have to think of it a little bit differently. So live energy, as it's moving with people or plants or animals, there's actually a movement that's happening with energy. And think of it kind of like running water or bodies of water and how it essentially moves around. Objects, it's a little bit different. It's kind of stuck there like dust until it's removed, cleaned, cleared, that sort of thing. So what an empath is its ability to read energy of all live things around them, live energy. And so how do you know if you're an empath? Well, I actually did an article on this, which I'm going to direct you guys to, because this is a little bit more one-on-one stuff. And that is, I believe it was called 6 Signs You're an Empath. And so I'll cover those briefly, but that is on my Keys to the Spirit World website. You'll have to bear with me on the Keys to the Spirit World website because it just got transferred over and some of the information is a little bit choppy on my blogs. We have to get that fixed on the back end. But if you go there and you go to the Start Here button, there's a whole list of things for empaths. So I'll cover these a little bit, but then I want to get into some deeper empath awareness stuff for those of you who already know that you're an empath. So 6 easy signs you can tell if you're an empath is, do you feel overwhelmed when going into a place filled with a lot of people? So like, do you feel overwhelmed going into a mall, a sporting event? Walmart is that's a very good indicator. Walmart, the energy in there is crazy. So do you feel overwhelmed, but you want to go in, but you feel anxious or unsettled and you're just not really sure why, and you get just this sense of overwhelm and it doesn't make much sense, because even maybe like a concert or something you really enjoy and you want to go see these people, but then you start getting anxious and you just can't really figure it out. That's a sign. Can you tell when someone's lying to you? So if you can tell if they're kind of being deceitful or not giving you the whole truth, and you can just feel that something's not quite right, that's another sign. Having random emotions or mood swings, especially when you're in someone else's presence, when you think about them, or when you think about them, that make no sense to you. So usually, I talk about this a lot in my class or some other things, when you have emotions or mood swings that are attached to you specifically, and people ask me this a lot, well, how do I know if I'm picking up on other people's energy? How do I know if they're my mood swings or somebody else's? Because your mood swings will essentially be followed by a train of thought. So, for instance, if you get upset about something, you can go back and trace that to a thought. Like, for instance, maybe you were thinking, I really am upset that this specific thing happened today, and I wished I would have handled it better, and then I could have done this and could have done that. And if I would go back and change that if I could, and then you start getting really upset or emotional. That's a train of thought. Or if you get really excited and happy about something and you're thinking, oh, this was a really cool thing that happened today. I'm super excited about this. And it just makes me feel like it made my whole day. And it's like an event or a thing that you experienced. That's a train of thoughts. But if out of the blue, you're just watching TV, or you're just, taking a walk, and all of a sudden you start getting really irritated or angry for some reason, or you get just like this overwhelming feeling of calm and peace, those are not necessarily attached to a train of thought. So that would be what that is. And so that's another indicator. Can you feel someone else's ailments? Now, some empaths can feel people's ailments, not all of them. So, do you ever feel sick or experience pain, which makes no sense to you, but you later find out it coincided with somebody else who was, like, for instance, I've had that happen to me with my kids, or my daughter had a toothache one time when my husband went to the dentist. Like, we're very closely related in that energetically, and so that's very common in our household. Do you instinctively know what somebody needs to feel better emotionally or physically? Can you predict what they need without them not really knowing what they want or need in the first place? That's another sign of a lot of healers are empaths. A lot of nurses, doctors, Reiki practitioners, massage therapists, acupuncturists, even dentists, anybody in the healing industry, whether it be traditional or non-traditional, they tend to be empaths, and they kind of can instinctually know their patients, counselors, those types of things. Do you ever feel emotionally drained after being around an individual or a group of people to the point of feeling physically not well? So if you're around an individual or a group of people, maybe a concert, Walmart, whatever, and you start feeling kind of like shaky, lightheaded, weak, nauseous, anxious, or even out of body, detached, a big indicator is a low blood sugar feeling, when you know that you shouldn't have low blood sugar, like you just ate not very long ago. Any of those things, any of those physical symptoms after being around a group of people or a person, maybe you had lunch with a very draining friend, which you don't realize they're draining till maybe you're listening to this podcast. That type of thing is a very good indicator that you're an empath. And so those are the most common things, signs that you are an empath. What an empath essentially is you mirror someone else's emotions. And so, for instance, let's say that you are around a friend or a family member or a group of people, and this is why I'm going to talk to you about why this overwhelming feeling happens. You essentially mirror their energy. You can feel, for instance, when it happens to me, and I'm a very strong empath, so this is going to be a little bit different than people who are just noticing that they have the ability. I can, if I'm around somebody, I can literally tell you everything about that person, how they're feeling about me at that time, when we're having a conversation, what their intentions are. Are they nervous? Are they excited? What kind of day that they had? Any type of emotional feelings that they're experiencing at this point in time when I'm around them, or even when I'm not around them, but that's a whole different story, me being psychic and all. But that being said, you mirror their emotions. So you literally become like a mirror to them emotionally. So you can feel any highs and lows that this other person experiencing. Now, the problem when going into a large group of people or going into a place such as Walmart, and I'll explain that a little bit differently because that's an easy explanation there, or like a group where maybe you go to a concert. The difference between sitting with somebody one-on-one and experiencing all their emotions that can become difficult for an empath is when you go into a group situation, you're not just experiencing one empath, not experiencing one empath, one person as an empath, you're experiencing a group of energies at the same time. So I don't know if any of you guys have ever watched Bruce Almighty. And the part where he starts becoming or doing God's work, and he's sitting in the restaurant, and all of a sudden he starts hearing all these people at one time, and he's not being able to sort through them through his head. It's the same thing energetically when you go into a group or a place filled with a lot of people and you're an empath. When there's a lot of high energy going on, you just get this flood of energies coming at you, and they are all something different. Like somebody might be really excited and happy, and somebody might be feeling irritated and angry, and somebody might be calm, but somebody might be just super just happy to be alive or whatever. And you just imagine just 10 different energies or 200 different energies or 2,000 different energies all swirling and coming at you at the same time, and you're feeling it. And you can feel it, but you can't read them necessarily individually when they come at you like a floodgate. So it would be kind of like, imagine, I talk about energy being like a stream of water or water-based. And imagine that this water is kind of dammed up like a dam, and somebody just pulls the dam open or breaks the dam, and you just are standing at the bottom, and all this water just comes flooding and crashing over you. That's similar to what happens when you're around a lot of people. Walmart is an interesting place because there's a lot of, don't get me wrong, I go into Walmart. I appreciate Walmart for what it is. And I think it's amazing for a lot of people. But there's a lot of lower vibration people that shop at Walmart. I shop at Walmart. I'm not lower vibration. You very well may not be a low vibration person, and you may go there every single week because it's very affordable and helpful to your income. But there are also a lot of lower vibration people who tend to navigate towards Walmart. And when they do, especially if there's a lot of people in there, the energy in there can create a lot of agitation and irritation and overwhelm when you're in Walmart, like on a Saturday afternoon. It's a lot different type of energy than you might be experiencing at a symphony, where you have some potentially higher vibration people who are excited about hearing something, artistic related. So These people, if you're going to a symphony or like a Broadway show or something, or even just a regular just play or something more artistic related, where people are like excited to be in tune with the arts and the spiritual side of themselves, because anything artistic is related deeply on a soul level to your soul's vibration. And so then you're going to have a different set of vibrational people. That doesn't mean that you're not going to experience low vibration people at any artsy thing, or you're not going to experience high vibration people at Walmart. It doesn't mean that by any means, but what I'm saying is some places tend to pull different types of, for the most part, the majority of the vibration of people can be a certain tone. They can be a higher vibration, lower vibration, that sort of thing. Obviously, if you're going into a meditative group or a yoga class, you're most likely going to experience a lot of higher vibration people. Again, it doesn't mean low vibration people can't go in there. So anyways, you're going to be around a lot of energies that you're going to have to sort through, especially on a Saturday afternoon. So I don't go to Walmart very often. My husband actually goes, God bless his soul. But when I do go to somewhere like that, because I'm so highly sensitive to the energy, I tend to like to go in the off hours, somewhere like at night, or when there, that there wouldn't be a lot of people there. So what you're essentially doing is you are reading other people's energies. You can also plants and animals. Empaths are very in tune to animals, and if animals are having injuries, or if animals are feeling anxious, or that sort of thing. And all animals are healers and empaths. They are all healers and empaths. So one of the interesting things when people say, or I don't know if you know this or not, but I definitely notice it 100% of the time, that an animal will take on the energy of its owner. Always. And if you've never noticed that, start kind of paying attention to some of the pets and the people in your life, and you'll be like, oh yeah, it's weird, because you'll think that person, that little puppy or cat or whatever, that I notice it with dogs a lot, that puppy is just like its owner. It's like, it's weird. It's like you kind of think they almost look like each other, even though they're totally different looking. So, but the animals always take on the energy of the owner. And that's why, even if you watch Caesar and get into that, you can see when an animal is being trained by somebody who knows a lot about animals. They don't want the owner to be anxious or irritated when they're trying to train their animals, because the animals will pick up on that anxious or irritated energy and sort of take it on. That's what an empath does. As an empath, most of the time, until you really practice awareness, you will take on the energy of the emotional response that you're getting from anybody. You will take on that edginess, that irritation. You will take on mood. That's what creates the mood swings, is because you might be at work around Joe, who is having a wonderful day. Then you may go to the bank and see Sarah, who's not having such a good day. Then you may go to Whole Foods and see Tim and Sally, who are really chill and having it. And your mood swings might be all over the place that day, because when you leave Whole Foods or the bank or your work, that energy will stick with you for a little while until you understand it, know it, and release it, or ground yourself. And the thing about empaths is, I notice that a lot of people become hermits or non-productive with having an empath ability, because number one, they're not really sure what it is. They don't really realize that they have empathic abilities. Empathic abilities are very closely linked. People who have empath abilities usually and often will have ADHD, and often they will have anxiety or anxiety disorders or panic attacks. Super, super common. And so these people will try to protect themselves, and the only thing that they know of to do, instead of understanding it's an ability, is they stay home and they stay away from people or doing the things that they love and enjoy doing. And that's not living a very healthy, happy existence for an empath when you just feel like you have to, nail yourself in a cave in order to just coexist with the universe. I mean, that's just rough. The reason that I actually am in the process of developing something called an empath school. I'm going to be offering it for free for a while for those of you who feel like you're empaths. And I've been working on this for a while. It's not launched yet. You can get on the mailing list on my website, the Keys to the Spirit World website. But it will be a 28-day awareness program for empaths. And each day you will get a new thing to become aware of. And then I will give you some exercises and things to practice on empath awareness every day for 28 days. And the reason that I did this was because I am noticing that people's quality of life is sort of suffering when they are an empath. And like I said, am one of the strongest empaths I've ever come across. And I live a pretty good life, but it took many years, especially my 20s, many, many years of trying to figure out how to live a healthy life as an empath and not just be fearful or feel sick all the time or, feel anxious all the time. Because this is really common for an empath. If you're not, awareness is really key as an empath. Awareness is huge. The first thing to become aware of is if you are or if you're not. We kind of covered that through some of the things that we talked about. You can go to that. Like I said, you can go to my website and read the article, 6 Signs You Are an Empath. You go to the start here. Awareness is really key, figuring out if you are or if you're not. Once you figure out if you are, I have to tell you, you need to really, I guess I would say, accept the fact that you can no longer live your life like other people. And that sounds really weird, but it's true. You as an empath cannot just do things like other people do and think that you're going to be fine. For instance, if an empath goes to a concert and you go with your friend who is not an empath, you start getting overwhelmed or don't do the things that you need to do to prepare to go into a group of people. And your friend doesn't have to do that, but you just go, well, I'm going anyways. You're going to come out feeling like crap, potentially for days, and your friend's going to be bouncing back and ready to go do something else the next day. So you can't just, there's a whole process. Like, you need to be aware of the energies that you're getting ready to put yourself into. You need to practice protection in the bubble meditation, which I've talked about a lot, which is in the class. You need to use grounding techniques all the time. It is not it's not like, I should ground myself because I am practicing psychic ability type of thing. It is, as an empath, if you want to feel healthy physically and emotionally, you have to ground yourself a lot. There's no two ways about it. There's just none. So grounding has to become a very huge priority of yours. You won't believe the difference, though, if you start understanding you're an empath and you start living your life differently by being more aware of the energies that you're putting yourself around. You will be shocked at how much just that awareness and then knowing that, okay, if I'm going into Walmart, I just need to know that I'm going to be dealing with a lot of these energies. And so I kind of need to just be aware of that and make sure I ground myself when I get out, or ground yourself before you go in. Just the awareness that potentially may make you feel a certain way when you get out is going to be huge. It's going to be huge in a good way. So you need to be able to ground yourself often. You cannot just think that you can just go run around willy-nilly and just be normal like everybody else. As an empath, unfortunately, you're not normal. And so you want to take care of yourself. You need to take care of yourself. It's very, very important. And the other thing that I want to talk about before I forget is when you do go into Walmart or do whatever, and you have those random emotional mood swings. Somebody had asked me, excuse me, the other day, somebody had asked me how would you tell the difference between someone who is bipolar and somebody who has empathic abilities? Well, in my experience, people who have a bipolar disorder, that's like a legit disorder that you really do need help with. You need medications. These people, if you have that type of disorder or think that you do, you absolutely should go see a doctor, 100%. But they tend to, the ones I have known, they have very high highs and lows that make no sense. It's almost kind of scary when you watch them. They will become so depressed or have such a low that they literally cannot function, and they potentially sleep for days or just cannot function at all. They are just in a shell. Or they're so depressed, it's ridiculous. And then the next thing you know, they are unusually euphoric and so excited, but nothing tended to set them on that journey. Wasn't that they ran into somebody, wasn't that they won the lottery, wasn't that they just were really proud of themselves for making some type of accomplishment. They just go into this euphoric state for a couple of days, and then the next thing you know, they hit their bottom again. It's a very extreme emotional roller coaster, and it's definitely a mental disorder. And empaths tend to, empaths, even though you may, lock yourself in your room or become a hermit because you don't like to be able to go out and experience all these energies, you're still functionable. You can still talk to people on the phone. You can still get work done around your house. You can still socialize with people who come over. It's a very you can still function when you're in your home. It's a very big difference. The empath awareness we're going to get back to. The next thing that I think people need to be more aware of. Now you're an empath. You mirror people's energies. You know that you need to do a lot of grounding. You know that you need to be more aware of the energies you're surrounding yourself by, which brings us to our next issue, which is surrounding yourself with or being exposed to and or around negative energies and people. So empaths are really, really affected in a very deep way by negative energy and negative people. It's not something that you're different than your friend who can subject themselves to a negative boss, cousin, spouse, friend, whatever, for long periods of time and not let it affect them. Because, some empaths just have been an empath their life or for a while, and they feel the way they feel, so they don't know anybody any different, right? They don't know that some people literally can put up a wall and block out other emotions or being affected by other people who are being negative towards them. They can kind of block it and not really have any internal anxiety or feelings or just that crappy feeling that you get when you are around somebody who's negative. Some people can do that. That is a whole different thing. That's a person who's not an empath. They can block that out of their life. And if they can do that as a non-empath, then them being around negative people is not going to have not near the impact it's going to have on you as an empath. I actually wrote an entire book on this because and the reason I'm doing the empath school that will be coming up is because even when I did my psychic ability class, I cover all the abilities. I cover clairaudience, clairvoyance. I put you guys through a quiz so that you can figure out what your strongest suits are. I then break down the abilities. I give you different exercises to work with different abilities. But an empath ability, there's so much information that you need to learn to live with as an empath. You need to learn to live a productive life. That it's going to take a lot more training, and that's why I decided to do the empath school and to get into that further. So that's why I'm doing more on empath awareness, and that's why I'm doing the 28-day challenge that'll be coming up, and all that other stuff. Is there's just so much more that you need to learn. Anyways, Energy Vampires. If you haven't read it, you can get it on Amazon, and it is like $2.99, or I don't know, maybe it's $3.99, whatever. It's cheap if you get the ebook, but there is so much good information, because then I also have people say, well, what if I'm married to an energy vampire? Or because an energy vampire is essentially a negative person, and this or somebody emitting negative energy consistently, and they also drain you of energy. And as an empath, one of the other things that you need to learn is, we've covered a lot of this stuff, not just being around the awareness and the grounding and the being around negative people, but you have to learn to strengthen your energetic field, which I will get to last here. But I do cover some techniques on strengthening your energy field in the Energy Vampires book. The more that you strengthen your energetic field, the harder it is for people to drain you or have an effect on you as an empath. So that's really important as well. And so if you haven't got Energy Vampires, if you haven't read it, you want to go ahead and pick that up, because it's going to have a ton of information for you. But negative people will have such an impact on empaths that it literally can make you physically ill. I kid you not. It can make you start to have physical symptoms, and if you subject yourself for long periods of time to a negative person or negative people, the physical symptoms can internalize and compact energetically and make bigger physical issues. I am really, really careful of the people who are in my life. And I am very careful of that. And I've had even people who were even friends or even family members, which some people will say, why do you not talk to this person anymore? Why are you not around this person? They don't understand if you're family, but they really don't understand the impact it can have on me. And I have to protect myself from being around anybody who is very negative or projecting negative energy. For instance, I can get nauseous instantly to the point of feeling like I have to throw up, or if I was to subject myself to these people for long periods, to where I would. And it gets to a point where when I'm around these types of people, it'll come on instantaneously if I'm around them, and it is a really intense physical reaction that I will have to people who are projecting a negative energy all the time. So because my ability is so strong, I have to really practice awareness of who I'm around. That is no joke. If I could express anything for you guys who, if you're an empath, or help you, the number one empath awareness thing, it wouldn't be the Walmart, it wouldn't be the going around the concerts or whatever, it wouldn't be even the grounding part, but it would be the effect that negative people and negative energy has on your system, spiritually and energetically and physically. It is off the charts how much it has an impact on you. But people who are empaths will try to figure out 18 ways to Sunday to try to figure out how they can keep these negative people in their life because, they're a friend I've had for a really long time, or I've even had people say they're married to people like that, and or their family, their mother, brother, sister, cousin, whatever. Here's the thing. If you choose as an empath, if you know you're an empath, and you choose to keep these people in your life, then you need to understand your health and your quality of life is going to suffer. It's just a matter of time. So, would I judge someone for keeping those people in their life? No, not even 1 minute, because everybody has their own path. They have their own journey, and I never judge anybody for anything because I feel like it's important for people to go through things in order to learn and change and adjust. So I don't judge anyone anyways. That being said, do it with the awareness that it will have an impact on you. It will. And so the other thing that I notice with people is I notice lots of people in my life who are struggling with negative people in their life, and they come down with pneumonia, and they come down with being this type of sickness or that type of sickness. I've even seen them come down with major sicknesses, MS or heart issues or stroke or whatever. And yes, I've seen it happen, and I can psychically see it, a chain go all the way back to the people who they're surrounding themselves by. It literally is a connection. I can see it. And that is what you have to decide. If I pick up the book, check it out. I have tips in there for you guys who still, have people in your life like that, because some people you even if they're negative people, you don't necessarily need to cut them out of your life entirely. But you can minimize your contact with them and or change the subject and or just be more aware of the impact that they're having on your life. I'm not suggesting you just cut all those people out, but use some tricks and use your awareness and use your smarts to understand that it's more than just I don't feel like hanging out with you thing. It's you are born with this ability or have adapted this ability, or it's gotten stronger as you've gotten older, and you now need to learn how to work with it. It's the same thing as, and you guys are going to probably laugh, but I'm not even kidding you. It's the same thing as you don't want a diabetic to go eat a Snickers candy bar. I mean, you have to monitor your blood sugars. You have to be very aware of what you're consuming into your body and make sure that you are taking proper care of yourself to keep those levels where they need to be. An empath is very similar to that. Energetically, you have to not eat a big Snickers candy bar. You have to make sure that energetically you are staying as balanced as you can be. As I have diabetics in my family, and I know when they're not monitoring that and they do all the things that they're not supposed to do, then they begin to feel very crappy, and they essentially could become very sick or in a coma or whatever. As far as an empath goes, same type of thing is going to happen. You're going to potentially feel very crappy if you're not paying attention to. Diabetic cannot live the same life with a diet as their friend who's not. An empath is the same way. You cannot live your life in the same way that someone who your friend is not an empath. It just doesn't work like that. And I feel like people need to be more aware and take it as a serious lifestyle change when they understand or learn that they're an empath. It's very important if you want to live a healthy lifestyle. So you can live as an empath and live a really quality lifestyle. You don't have to live feeling anxious or having panic attacks or feeling, boarded up in your room. The last thing that I'm going to touch on a little bit is after you're becoming aware of the places that you are aware of the places you're at, you're addressing the negative people in your life, you're learning the tips about that, you take it more seriously, you know the grounding techniques, and you learn that this empath ability is a real deal, and you must learn how to work with it and how to live with it. It's the same way that I had taught my kids when they were younger how to live with their intuitive and psychic abilities. You don't just live like other people. You have these abilities, you have an insight. You can't live the way somebody else does who do not have these abilities. The other thing that you need to learn is strength training, basically, energetic strength training. And so that is something where you learn to build up your energy. You learn to plug the holes. They're no longer like Swiss cheese. And you stop energetic drain from the people who you are around and the places that you visit. You learn to stop, plug the holes. You learn to bubble yourself to keep the energy in, and you learn to do some techniques which strengthen your energy field. It's just like a muscle. So if you don't use your muscles and you don't work them out, then you're going to lose the strength, right? Empaths who are not aware that they're an empath are kind of like people that aren't using any muscles. They're kind of just there. They're sort of not realizing that they have to strengthen anything. And so if you are an empath, it's really important to learn to strengthen your energetic field. And it will begin to strengthen the more that you're aware, the more you start plugging the holes, stay away from the negative energies, etc., etc. Do the grounding techniques. There's actually some meditations that help strengthen your energetic field, which I'm not going to really go into right now. But again, if you're interested in joining the Empath School, as that becomes available, I have my assistant, my web designer is working on the complete package right now. It's finished. It's just in its final stages. That would be a good place for you to start as far as empath awareness, learning what to do. Like I said, it's going to be a 28-day program that I work you guys through, and each day I bring some more awareness to something that you're probably going to have to shift in your life that you may never even knew affected you as an empath. I cover a lot of stuff in that, but as we move forward, I'm also going to be working on my next empath class to go over a lot of these strengths and different things. So hopefully that this was helpful today. You definitely want to check out Keys to the Spirit World and go look at that. There's actually on the top, there's a Start Here button, and I believe the top line is the top 5 or 4 blogs on for empaths, and so there's some cool stuff on there. And until next time, practice some awareness. If you feel like you're an empath, make sure that you understand that this is a no-joke ability. It is something that you need to be aware of, you need to work with, and it is something that essentially it will not lessen or go away. That's the other thing you guys should probably know. As an empath, once you develop a skill to a certain level, it doesn't just disappear ever. It just stays there. So if you've developed it to a certain ability, there's no changing it. You're developed that far. You can pretend like you're not an empath for the next 10 years if you want to, and you are still going to have the same empathic abilities when you decide that you're an empath again, because they've never gone anywhere. You've just tried to ignore them, and I'm probably certain if you did that for 10 years, you would not be feeling very well. So you need to practice empath awareness, where you're going, the negative energies. Check out the book. Make sure you get on the list for the Empath School if you want to learn more. Do the 28-day challenge. Acknowledge and accept that you are not like your friends and other people, and also understand that ignoring your empathic abilities will affect your physical health. It really will. But there is a way that you can live with it, and you can live with it in a really productive, successful manner. So hopefully you enjoyed this today, and hopefully it was helpful. And like I said, make sure to stop over to Keys to the Spirit World, get on that psychicabilityclass.com if you want to get into that, and we'll see you next time. Aloha.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather, now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Black Friday is coming, and for the adults in your life who love the coolest toys, well, there's something for them this year too. Bartesian is the premier craft cocktail maker that automatically makes more than 60 seasonal and classic cocktails, each in under 30 seconds at the push of a button. And right now, Bartesian is having a huge site-wide sale. You can get $100 off any cocktail maker or cocktail maker bundle when you spend $400 or more. So, if the cocktail lover in your life has been good this year, or the right kind of bad, get them Bartesian. At the push of a button, make bar-quality cosmopolitans, martinis, Manhattans, and more. All in just 30 seconds. All for $100 off. Amazing toys aren't just for kids. Get $100 off a cocktail maker when you spend $400 through Cyber Monday. Visit Bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.